All right, we are live. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the Mother Earth's Last Dance show. I am your host, Elijah. This is the show that is all about Mother Earth, our beloved mother who gives us so much love and patience for all that we've done to her. But you know what? We are here right now creating and manifesting a new world, you and I. If you are tuning into this stream and you are a part of this movement, and I thank you so much for being here. So here we are at episode 2 of the Mother Earth's Last Dance show. So today is going to be a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. Now, before we get started with this show, I'm going to do a little background for myself. So the topic of the day is going to be about depression. All right. How depression is one of the worst tragedies to befall the human race. It is an absolute tragedy that depression exists in any form on this planet. And more people need to speak up about it. So, if you're coming in here right now and you've experienced depression before, you're experiencing depression now, I just want you to know that you are not alone. You are not alone. I know it seems like you are alone. It seems like things are hopeless, that there is no way out. But I'm telling you that there absolutely is. I believe in you. And I know that you can get through this. And I want to say I'm so terribly sorry that you are suffering from depression. I am so very sorry. I know what it is like. Do not lose hope. Please find help because you are absolutely deserving of help. You have a purpose in this world. You are beautiful just the way that you are. And you are here for a reason. You are needed in this world. You and your essence, your uniqueness, you are here in this world for a reason. And I'm sorry that people aren't showing you the love and respect that you deserve. Because you absolutely deserve it. Depression. It's a horrible thing. If you've never gone through depression before, that's great. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Depression is a horrible thing for anybody to go through. It is a horrible thing. Now, as for myself, I've experienced chronic treatment-resistant depression for probably 7 to 8 years. And I'm still recovering from it right now. But for 7 or 8 years, I was living in a state of complete hopelessness. I was in a state of worthlessness, pointlessness. It was like living with a black and white filter over my eyes everywhere I went. And positive thinking wasn't enough for me to get out of it. Now, if you have a spiritual inclination, you have a very developed level of self-awareness, and you've experienced depression, you're going to ask yourself inevitably, why? Why is this happening to me? When I understand my innate power and I find myself beautiful, I know who I am, why am I still feeling this way? Do not disparage yourself because everybody experiences it from time to time. But you have to understand, while some people experience situational depression, which comes and goes, you lose a job, you go through a divorce, etc. Of course, you're going to feel some sadness, but chronic depression is a malady of the soul. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So I experienced this for 7 to 8 years. And I tried everything. You know, I tried changing my diet. I tried exercise. I tried affirmations, thinking positively, etc. It didn't help. I tried everything that you are supposed to try to elevate your mood. I cried out for help for years to anybody who would listen to me because I was on the brink of suicide. This is just full disclosure here. For all of these years, I was ready to end my life because I couldn't take the pain anymore. And that's what happens when somebody is depressed. They cannot take the pain anymore, and they just don't want to feel these horrible feelings. And everything just seems hopeless. So finally, after 7 or 8 years of this horrible depression, every day seemed like an eternity, like you're in hell, right? Finally, somebody came to me. They saw and recognized my pleas for help, and they pointed me in the right direction because this person told me that they experienced a similar level of depression for a long time. And what she discovered was that the main reason behind her depression was physiological. There was a hormone imbalance within that was disrupting her ability to be in the present moment, to feel empowered, to be full of energy and focus and motivation. So when she saw a naturopath doctor who recognized these symptoms and gave her the right supplements, natural herbal supplements, and helped her, adjust her diet, that she finally got better. So she recommended the same thing to me. And you know what? It worked. This naturopath doctor, he's amazing. After all of these years of me struggling and crying out to my brothers and sisters of this world for help, finally, I found a solution that works. And so since seeing this doctor, and taking the supplements, adjusting my diet, and then reconfiguring everything else in my life, I got better. I never even thought it was possible that I could get better. Would you ever believe it? But I did. And I want you to know, if you're experiencing depression and you're watching this, that it is possible to get better. There is hope. Continue to try. Continue to ask for help. And if you haven't tried it, I really encourage you to consider the physiological aspects of what is going on within you. Whether it's low testosterone or a thyroid condition, some sort of hormonal imbalance, get your blood work done. One way or another, I understand money is always an issue. I had to use a credit card to get the right treatment that I needed. But, in the end, it was worth it because now I get up, I wake up in the morning, and I'm able to look at the day in front of me the way that a human being is supposed to in this world. Full of energy and motivation. It's easy to think positively, to look forward to things. So do not give up. I want to emphasize that to you who happen to come across this video. Do not give up. There is always hope. There is always a solution. Just take it one step at a time. And I've made a video on my channel in the past detailing what depression feels like. So somebody who's never experienced this sort of chronic depression can have a better understanding of what people go through every single day. And I've also created a video of things not to say to somebody who is depressed. And we're going to go in this show and detail how depression impacts the human race and where we can go from here, because this is such an important subject and it's so near and dear to my heart. So I just wanted to make that as an introduction, but let's get on with the rest of the show, and we'll discover some things together. So we're going to start off today with a poem. All right. This poem is called Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own. Sing, and the hills will answer. Sigh, it is lost on the air. The echoes bound to a joyful sound, but shrink from voicing care. Rejoice, and men will seek you. Grieve, and they turn and go. They want full measure of all your pleasure, but they do not need your woe. Be glad, and your friends are many. Be sad, and you lose them all. There are none to decline your nectared wine, but alone you must drink life's gall. Feast, and your halls are crowded. Fast, and the world goes by. Succeed and give, and it helps you live, but no man can help you die. There is room in the halls of pleasure for a large and lordly train, but one by one we must all file on through the narrow aisles of pain. Isn't that quite beautiful? There is nothing like a good poem to help inspire you and see the world from a beautiful lens, as the music encircles us and entwines us, inspires us, empowers us, and encourages us. All right? So let's move on with the show here. So how does this show work? So every single day for this show, I'm going to choose one topic, and I'm going to run this topic through the gamut of 3 perspectives: natural law, altruism, and traditional ecological knowledge. And we'll go through this list and what all of these perspectives entail, because these 3 perspectives here give us a holistic picture of who we are and how we can ultimately create a better world. Okay, so how do we choose this topic? Well, that is easy. You are the ones who can come up with the topic. Now, at any point in time, you can submit a topic to this show by going to unitingunbound.com/show. Just go to there and you'll see a form. Fill it out. It's free. And as long as it's within reason, you might see your topic used on a future show, and we'll dissect it from all these 3 perspectives. Okay? So, I also want to let you know, if you want to have a comment or a question, you can submit it to streamelements.com/unitingunbound/tip. You can visit that link. It's also in the description. Visit there at any point in time, whether it's this live show or any other time. And when you submit that comment or question, I will read them at the end of the show, and they will be guaranteed to be read as long as they are reasonable. No trolling. I'm not interested in that. But the point is, I want this to be a community, and I want us to interact together and explore all of this together, because what are we but brothers and sisters, children of Mother Earth? We are all in this together. We may not always agree on everything, but when it comes to the important things like Mother, who is more important than anything else, we can come together in unity. And that is what this is all about, my friends. Okay, so let's get on to the topic of the day. Today's topic is, unfortunately, depression is the real pandemic that is plaguing this world, and it saddens me to see so many people suffer from it. Whether it is chronic depression or situational depression, why is it that so many people are left abandoned by society, and what can we do about this? How will humanity treat depression in the next world? All right. So, depression, the real pandemic of this world, and what I call the greatest tragedy to befall the human race. Millions of people in this world, probably tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of people, every day experience depression. And despite their best efforts, they're struggling. And don't think that they're not trying. All right? Depression is persistent. And how it makes us feel is sometimes just so overpowering where it's too much for one person to handle. Nobody should ever experience this. Not one single person. Okay? So let's move on to the very first perspective to explore depression. The first perspective we have here is natural law. Okay? So what is natural law? Natural law is a body of non-man-made, binding, all-pervading, immutable, universal spiritual laws which govern the dynamics of consciousness and the consequences of behavior for beings who are capable of understanding the difference between right and wrong. Okay? So if you're new to the topic of natural law, you have to understand that natural law is different from man-made law. Natural law has always existed, and it continues to exist. It's always going to exist. The laws of physics are measurable. We can see how they interplay in this world to give us our reality. Natural law are laws and principles that exist in tandem with the laws of physics. Natural law can be measured, but they work in a much more subtle way. It's also called spiritual law or God's law. All right? It all has to do with behavior. Everything we do in this world has consequences, whether they're bad, neutral, or negative. All right? And that's what gives us our overall human experience. So let's take a look at this chart right here. Now, this chart is was created by Mark Passio. If you don't know who he is, check him out. What on earth is happening? So to look at this chart, start from the top and go to the bottom. Look at the green and the red. You have two energies that are present within the universe. Polar opposite energies. You have love and you have fear. Us as individuals and as a collective influence how our reality is created and overall what kind of human experience we're going to have. All right, so if we operate under the energy of love, you accumulate knowledge with the acceptance of truth, no matter how scary it is. When you have that knowledge, you reach a state of sovereignty where you own your body and you own your mind. I own my body. I own my mind. We are masters of our domain. All right? When you understand that and actualize that, then that gives us freedom in this world. Freedom to express ourselves. Freedom to do whatever we want as long as we don't harm another sentient being. All right? And that freedom manifests as order in this world. Order where everybody is on the same playing field. Everybody has the same rights that are given to us, bestowed to us by God, by the universe, right? All right. Now, the opposite of love is fear. Fear leads to ignorance, refusal of the truth. Ignorance leads to confusion, internal confusion. You have contradictions within yourself. The confusion leads to control in this world because nobody knows how to think, feel, and act properly in alignment with natural law. This control ultimately leads to chaos in the world. All right? And that is what we see in this world. We see chaos. We see chaos everywhere because depression is so persistent. If everybody cared for one another in this world and treated every single person with love and respect as you want to be treated with love and respect, with understanding and empathy, compassion, love, then we wouldn't have this mad world that we have. All right? So when it comes to natural law, looking at it, trying to dissect depression, when we have one person who experiences depression, that is a deep tragedy. When we have millions of people experiencing depression in this world, it's an absolute atrocity. It's a pandemic. And what happens when we have millions of people experiencing depression in this world? What the universe does is reflect back to us the results of not taking care of our brothers and sisters, making sure they get the health care that they need, make sure they get the therapy that they need, make sure they get the support that they need. And the result is we get a world full of people who end their lives, who choose to not want to be here anymore because they cannot take the pain anymore, and they reached a point of such hopelessness where they decide to leave this earthly realm. And that is an absolute tragedy that should not happen. And so when you have a race of beings who do not take care of one another and treat one another as one family, then the universe sees us as a failure. And if we continue this behavior, we will be slated for extinction. The universe is going to look at us and say, well, this race of beings, they're clearly not sentient because they don't know how to take care of members of their own race. What are they doing destroying this planet and making a mockery of divinity? And this opens the doors for dark energy to come into this world and occupy our consciousness and have all those demons circulating within our minds, causing more addictions, causing more aggression, causing more hopelessness. And the people who are suffering from depression, it's not their fault. They don't want to be that way. But you have to understand how depression is manifesting in this world. First off, we live in such a horrible, sick world. Excuse me. Horrible, sick society based on competition. It's all about money. Me first. Everybody, or most people in this world have turned into a me monster. Whatever is good for me, that is all that matters. Screw the environment. Screw all the other people I share this space with. I'm just going to focus on me. And over thousands of years, we get more and more divided through our religions, all the languages, all the governments, the economic systems, when we're not aligning ourselves with truth. Us humans have the tendency to place ourselves in a box. And we base all of our perceptions of the world on what we have in this little box, whether it's true or not. when really we need to be open-minded and look how all of these religions connect with one another and look at all the truths therein. We need to align ourselves with natural law, because under natural law, the stronger we are as a collective, then the stronger our ability to manifest a better world where we care for one another, we care for the planet, we create things that are in alignment with ecological principles. We need to understand natural law. Imagine that one person you in your life you knew was depressed and you didn't say anything to them. And maybe they ended up taking their life. And imagine what could have happened if you stepped in and at least listened to them. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect either. Sometimes you cannot always be there for somebody, but we have to try. We have to absolutely try, because we are one. It is an atrocity that depression is the level that it is in this world. We live in a profoundly sick society. No wonder why people are depressed. And this does not factor in the chemicals that influence our immune systems. Because when your physical immune system is broken down, then your spiritual immune system also breaks down. You lose that filter in your head to be able to discern positive and negative thoughts. It's like the negative thoughts continue to come through and you don't even have an ability to stop them because your immune system has been weakened. All the chemicals that are sprayed in the air, the chemicals that are put in the water, all the soap and shampoos that we use, perfume, the food that we eat, the GMOs and all the stuff we spray in our food, this has weakened all of our immune systems. And for some reason, there's a portion of humanity who happen to suffer depression. Now, these chemicals and all this chemical warfare that's been going on in this world influences other people in different ways. So if you don't experience depression, how are those chemicals influencing you? Because we all have different genetics. We all have a different spiritual makeup. So naturally, we're going to have different responses. And it's like all the people who are depressed, it's like all of the dark energy has been placed onto them. We cannot let this continue. How could you ever expect us to even evolve to a higher level of living when we are like this? It is inexcusable and should not happen. So that brings us to the virtue of the day. And what is the virtue of the day? Today's virtue of the day is empathy. Empathy is a translation of Greek empathia, which means passion, a state of emotion. It is the psychological identification with or vicarious experiencing of the feelings, thoughts, or attitudes of one another. Empathy. Empathy is the virtue of the day. Virtues are they're not things that we can ever attain, but they're divine in nature that we can continue to strive for and better ourselves every day. How did you practice empathy today? Towards animals, towards plants, towards other humans, towards mother. That is how we are going to give us the very best chance to align with natural law to give us the best manifestations in this world through our thoughts, emotions, and actions. The universe is going to reflect energy to us that is in sync with what we put out. So if we put out empathy and we care for one another and we try to understand what each other is going through, we put ourselves in their shoes, we see from their perspectives, then you will know that these people who are suffering from depression are truly suffering. And if you were the one who was experiencing depression, you would be crying out for help. And you would be screaming for help everywhere you go. Why is nobody helping me? I'm feeling hopeless and lost. I'm trying everything. I'm not looking for attention. I want help. We all need to practice empathy every single day. Empathy. Remember that. So, before we move on, folks, I'm going to go use the bathroom and get some water, and I'm going to be right back, and we're going to go to perspective number 2. I will be right back. All right, I am back. Thank you so much for staying with me. Empathy, folks. So, we're going to move on to perspective number 2. What is perspective number 2? Perspective number 2 is altruism. Okay, now what is altruism? Well, altruism is the unselfish concern for other people, doing things simply out of a desire to help, not because you feel obligated to out of duty, loyalty, or religious reasons. Altruism. You've heard this term before. One sec. Okay. Altruism. That is in alignment with empathy. We should want to help people because we want to help people. Not because we're looking for attention, not because we're virtue signaling, but because we know it is the right thing to do. You know what it is like to hurt, therefore you don't want to see anybody else hurt. You see somebody who is depressed and you help them because you know what it's like to feel depressed. Even if you don't suffer from chronic, persistent, treatment-resistant depression, you've felt depression before to some capacity, or melancholy, sadness. And depression and sadness are not the same, by the way. No, depression is like you're stuck in a dark hole and you're numb to everything. You're feeling all of the negative emotions. It has nothing to do with being sad about a particular thing when you are chronically depressed. Major depressive disorder. All right, so we all know what it's like to feel sad, to go through a grieving process. If you lose a pet, the end of a relationship, you lose a job, whatever it is, you know what it's like to hurt. You know what it's like to feel hopeless. And so you want to do something about it. That is altruism. You know what it's like to hurt. You don't want other people to hurt, right? So let's look at this chart right here. So this chart here is symbiosis. Symbiosis is any type of a close and long-term biological interaction between two different biological organisms. So when I say symbiosis, these are behaviors that we can see within nature. I'm not talking about food. I'm not talking about carnivores and herbivores out in the wild eating one another. Every organism needs energy, and you need to eat something. Symbiosis is relationships within nature. How they interact with one another, how they share space with one another. So on this chart, there are 4 different types of behaviors you can see within nature. And we, us humans, you have to understand, we have a higher form of consciousness than animals do. Doesn't mean we're superior necessarily. It means we are more connected with the divine nature of the universe. So natural law does not apply to animals. They don't receive karma. They are a different level of consciousness, okay? Going back to the chart here. So what the behaviors we see within nature, starting at the top all the way to left, you see parasitism. Parasitism is when one organism benefits and the other is harmed. So a tick, a mosquito, etc. All right, then next you have commensalism, where one organism benefits and the other is neither benefited nor harmed. So spider webs on plants, barnacles on whales. Next you have mutualism, where both organisms benefit. Pollination, gut bacteria inside of our stomachs, fungi and plants. All right, mutualism. I'm going to get into altruism here, but first you need to understand mutualism. Because most people incorrectly, being so misguided and not looking deep into things, they look at nature and they see all the competition, all of the callousness and just the death and decay, and they assume that is what nature is all about. That is one aspect of nature. There are other aspects of nature that are everywhere. You have to look deep to see them. And Mother Earth, our spirit of this planet, where she is infused within organic life, is all of the beneficial interactions. When you see a bee pollinating a flower, that is mother. That is her essence. That is how we need to base our behavior off of that. We need to benefit one another. We shouldn't base our behavior off of ticks and mosquitoes. That's what governments are. That's what the IRS is all about. Businesses, corporations, we have these tentacles sucking us dry everywhere we go in this world. That is not the right way we should be living in this world. We need to look to those good aspects of nature. You understand this? All right? So mutualism. Parasitism is the worst. Commensalism is a little better. Mutualism is where we need to look to. Going down is altruism. This is the best of the best. You can see altruism within nature. Elephants helping one another. Humans caring for neighbors. Birds sharing a food location. All right, this is sharing things for the sake of sharing things. Now, in the animal kingdom, this may be somewhat selfish behavior, because when you help a member of your herd, maybe you know that you'll have more protection in the future. But with humans, go to the right side of the chart here. Human translated motive, because we are on a higher level of consciousness. Although altruism for animals might be to strengthen familial ties and improve group fitness, for us, because we are on a higher level of consciousness, this manifests as empathy, love, compassion, sympathy. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Doing something without expectation of something in return. All right? So it's so critically important to understand this. There are beautiful aspects of nature. Not all of nature is survival of the fittest, competition, dog eat dog. And we're basing our collective behavior off of that. And because of that, we have an elite control in this world. You have people in competition with one another, looking for money above all else, while millions of people are suffering from depression every single day. And that is why we have the world that we do, because people don't understand natural law and they don't understand nature's principles. Stop looking at lions devour weak animals. That's one aspect of nature. We are better than this. All right, so let's look at the next part of altruism here. What would mother wish? WWMW. What would mother wish? That is what we need to ask every single day. Mother, our divine mother, the essence of our planet, the mother of all organic life in the universe, the source of the sacred feminine. What would she want for us to be doing? She wants us to align with her. She wants us to live altruistically, to take care of every other person around us, to take care of our neighbors as if we are one family. All right? Because it's, first off, the right thing to do. It is in alignment with divine will. Because all of the universe is love at its source. Fear and hate, all of those negative things, they're an illusion within the universe. They are a part of the universe, but they are an illusion that clouds itself over love and deceives us into thinking that we should be living animalistically. We need to align ourselves with divine principles. All right, by taking care of every single person on this planet, taking care of their health, their well-being, not only is it the right thing to do, but we are strengthening us as a collective. Can you imagine if every single one of us treat one another as a brother and a sister? The things that we could achieve in this world if every person is given the circumstances to be the best versions of themselves that they can be, to live up to their utmost creative potential. All right? That person who's living in poverty, in deplorable circumstances, who doesn't have the same things that maybe you and I have, who could they become in this world if we help them, we uplift them, we give them the resources they need to develop themselves? Imagine what they could create in this world. They could be the next Nikola Tesla. They could be the next great musician, mathematician, caregiver, whatever it may be. And we won't see that because we're not taking care of them. What a tragedy that is. In the next world, my friends, we are going to ensure that everybody is taken care of. Because it is our divine duty, and it will give us the best circumstances to manifest a beautiful world. And the next world is going to be beautiful, and you and I are going to create it together. So let's look at the scale of morality, shall we? All right. So here's the scale of morality. On the left, you have parasitism, the worst of the worst. On the right, you have altruism, the best of the best. Mother is altruism. Satanic thinking or an ego worship mindset is parasitism. So, when it comes to depression in this world, how we've been treating one another, where do we align from parasitism to altruism? I'm going to put this all the way down here. That is where we are. We are at parasitism for the most part. That is where we are at, folks, because most people are locked into this destructive and misguided mentality that we should be competing with one another, that everything is about money. Forget about everything else. That is satanic thinking. And you know what? Let me say something else here, folks. Don't ever go to somebody who's depressed and talk down to them. Don't ever tell them, hey, I'm going to show you the door, but only you could walk through it. You know, even though there's some truth to that statement, understand how derogatory that actually is. They know that. They know that they're depressed. They know that they need to take actions to get out of depression. But you understand, they're trying. But they're in such a state of hopelessness. Maybe they don't have access to the right healthy food, the right supplements to help boost their immune system. All right, we need to do better. And I'm going to show you something else right here. So take a look at this. I'm going to show you in this screen here. There's a subreddit on reddit.com focused on depression. Take a look at this. It's called r/depression, right? Every single day you can go here and there are people posting here crying out for help. And this is all just now. Look at this title. It all just looks and tastes like cardboard. You guys ever feel like you don't deserve, aren't able to get better? Stupid. I don't know where to start. Suddenly feel numb. And this is all minutes ago. I'm going to continue to scroll. Take a look at this, folks. Minutes ago. Every day people are posting on this subreddit crying out for help. Look at this. Don't turn your eyes away from this. Look at this. Every fucking day. I am going to get angry. And you should get angry too. These people need help. They need our help. They are brothers and sisters and they are struggling. And go there. Go there. Look at it. Don't turn your face away from it. It exists. There are people suffering every fucking day. Every minute, every hour. They are in hell. And they don't know how to get out of it. Read them. You'll see they say the same things. I'm telling my family I'm depressed. And what does their mom and dad say? Oh, just get over it. You're looking for attention. You have everything you need. Why are you depressed? What an invalidating, unselfish, deplorable way of thinking, you ignorant pricks. I am done. They need help. And they're crying out for help, and they deserve help. If you are watching this and you are suffering from depression, you absolutely deserve help. Don't think otherwise. You are loved and you are appreciated. If your own parents and your own community members don't validate your feelings, know that I am, that somebody here is. I am passionate about this subject because I know what it's like. And enough is enough. I know there's only so much we could do as individuals. All right? I know. But if you know somebody in your personal life who is suffering from depression, reach out to them. Just let them know that they're not alone. Listen to them. And help them find the help that they need. Because when you're in that state of depression, it's so hard to look past the dark feelings that are present within yourself all the time. It breaks my heart. I used to go to this subreddit all the time and read over people's comments because it made me feel, when I was in my darkest of times, that I'm not alone, I'm not crazy, that there are other people who are suffering this way. I had to share that, folks. And I make no apology for it because you need to know this. Don't turn your eyes away from this. Anyway, moving on to perspective number 3 when looking at depression. Traditional ecological knowledge. So, what is traditional ecological knowledge? Well, let me tell you, traditional ecological knowledge is a cumulative body of knowledge and beliefs handed down through generations by cultural transmission about the relationship of living beings with one another and with their environment. These are gained through the teaching of family history and cultural values. All right. So, traditional ecological knowledge is very much revolved around indigenous culture. All right. Now, indigenous people all over the world have always had a strong connection with Mother Earth, with spirit. And this is what we need to align ourselves to. What can we learn from nature? Looking to nature as symbols, as archetypes, as themes, to improve our spiritual evolution. What are things present in nature that we can take from to better ourselves? So we have to ask ourselves the question here: how can entheogens and plant medicine positively shape our perception? Entheogens, psilocybin mushrooms, DMT, peyote, you name it. They are put on this planet for a reason. All right. And I'm going to say that this is especially relevant for depression. Anybody out there watching this video and you suffer from depression, I encourage you to look into microdosing with psilocybin mushrooms. Now, psilocybin mushrooms are put in this world for a reason. Mother, her essence is the chemical known as psilocybin. That's what gives us those psychoactive effects. That is mother. And when you eat the mushrooms, that is mother, the divine spirit coming into you, merging and melding with you, and helping you to show you the oneness of all. Looking at how you can look at your life in a way that is more positive, how you can uplift yourself. Microdosing has to be the center of our next world and using entheogens. All right, it's so critically important. They're there for a reason. Now, how they help is because when she comes into you, it's a gentle process of Mother showing us that we are beautiful just the way that we are. We are perfect just the way that we are. We are not lacking. We have purpose in this world, that we are loved by the divine. All right? And we all can benefit from consuming entheogens. And I certainly microdose. And it's helped me with my depression too, because psilocybin combined with lion's mane mushroom can help repair and create new neural pathways in your brain. And that has been proven. All right. So I just wanted to bring that up. All right. Now, let's look at this right here. How would an intentional community or eco-village create harmony? All right, intentional communities and eco-villages. They're set up all over the world. They're people who've decided to come together and create a community that's based on sustainability. It's based on growing organic food together. 1 second. It's all about sharing things, doing activities together, raising children together as a community, building houses that are used with sustainable materials, underground houses or earth-sheltered homes. So how do intentional communities and eco-villages, which are going to be the framework for how we create the next world, how does that apply to depression? Because in a true intentional community or eco-village, we take care of one another. We look at one another as a brother or a sister, and we know that when one person hurts, we also hurt. When you live in harmony with nature through everything you create in your community, you are going to naturally want to uplift your fellow community member so they can feel empowered to contribute to the community and to create to their utmost potential. This is what we need to focus on, folks. Community. 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 We are all in this together. So, when it comes to learning from animals, we can learn things from animals to better ourselves, to better the collective, because animals are also aspects of Mother's consciousness. And we are intrinsically connected to animals. All right, so what animal can we learn from as an animal totem to help heal depression in this world? Today's animal totem is the elephant. The elephant. All right, elephants have been shown to be so caring for their fellow herd members that when an elephant dies, they will actually go through a grieving process. And you can very clearly see that they know that this particular elephant that died mattered, not just as a fellow herd member, but its essence, its uniqueness. And naturally, you can say that elephants are empathetic. And you can look at it. When you look at elephants, either, if you're in the wild or if you watch a nature documentary, what you have to do is look at their essence and feel their essence. What can you feel emanating from them? When I look at elephants, I see this empathy, this intelligence. You've ever seen an elephant look at itself in a mirror? They know who they're looking at when they look at themselves in a mirror. And notice I say who and not what. All right? We all can learn from elephants and recognize that every single human being in this world is a member of our herd, our collective race. And we are stronger when we empower one another and give to one another. It is a tragedy when one person takes their own life and leaves this earthly plane. It's an abomination when it happens to the scale that it is in this world. An abomination, this world. And in the next world, I assure you, my brothers and sisters, we are going to manifest a beautiful world that is aligned with Mother, where we take care of one another. We understand the principles of cooperation and empathy and love. And nobody, I promise you, nobody will ever experience depression again in this world. Or at least they won't be left alone to their own devices. They will be given the healing and support that they need. I promise you this. If you love Mother as much as I do, and you know that we have the capacity to create a better world, I promise you the next world is going to be beautiful, and I'm so looking forward to it. So I think that just about sums it up for depression. I could go on and on about this subject, folks. But I want to get into the second part of this show. So the second part of the show is I just want to show you some good, positive, wonderful things going on in the world, because I know about all the horrible things going on. Stop paying attention to the drama. All right? I'm aware of all the bad things going on. We are going to create a beautiful world. We are. Oh, yes, we will. So start paying attention to all the good things people are doing in this world. Otherwise, you will start to feel hopeless, and I know that. So let's take a look at some articles here. All right, here's an article. Volunteers in Texas saved thousands of sea turtles from the shocking cold weather. So as you guys, I'm sure know, Texas has went through a horrible cold snap. And, of course, there's geoengineering involved. But anyway, so I thought this was a beautiful, heartwarming story. Let's read it. In the midst of a mind-bogglingly severe cold snap, heroic efforts are being made in Texas by warm-blooded animals to save thousands of their cold-blooded neighbors who lack the ability to fend off the freezing temperatures. Volunteers at Sea Turtle Incorporated Rehabilitation Center and among the local community on South Padre Island in the Gulf have so far rescued more than 4,900 sea turtles from death by cold stunning, an event that causes turtles to fall into comatose if the water drops below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's an image with a bunch of sea turtles in the back here. And what this person says here is, my mom is retired and she spends her winters volunteering at a sea turtle rescue center in South Texas. The cold snap is stunning the local turtles and they're doing a lot of rescues. She sent me this photo today of the back of her Subaru. It's literally turtles all the way down. So volunteers' efforts had by Tuesday already managed to scoop up 1,700 turtles, lining them up in rows on tarps at a nearby convention center that was donated for an emergency space. The community tried to help the turtles out of their comatose state by warming them in kiddie pools. By the end of the day, there were 3,500 turtles in the makeshift ITCU. Look at that. Look at these images. The love and support of people who just want to help things that can't help themselves is overwhelming. It is a huge, huge community effort, Gina MacLeod, a 71-year-old retired professor and volunteer, told the Washington Post. We very often don't even think about the cold's impact on animals because we're so worried about our own electricity and water. With this kind of event, it's a classic display of humanity toward animals. Then they get on to SpaceX. I'm not even going to go to that part because they're a very nefarious organization. Yeah, I know who Elon Musk is and what he's doing. And no, he does not have humanity's interest at heart. But anyway, so this is an amazing story, folks. This is how we need to be living. All right? That is so inspiring. People helping animals. And this is happening every day. There are good people out there doing good things. And this is how we need to be living on our planet. This is honoring and respecting Mother by taking care of all of our organisms. As stewards of our planet, that's what we need to be. Let's take another look at another story. Teen collects 30,000 pairs of shoes to donate dignity to LA homeless. And this is from the Good News Network. For children raised in the Jewish faith, a bar mitzvah is a celebration of the symbolic passage into adulthood. While at age 13, we're not truly grown up, we can begin to see our place in the larger world. What Lindsay Sobel saw in the months leading up to her own bar mitzvah was that a life of privilege wasn't a blessing that everyone shared, and she was determined to do something about it. As she became increasingly aware of the day-to-day hurdles homeless people living on the streets of LA faced, one thing she saw time and again was how many lacked proper footwear. Let me see if I can refresh this and get the images. There we go. Okay. I noticed a lot of them, she says, were in really awful living conditions. No way any person should have to live. On top of that, I noticed a lot of them did not even have shoes on, she said in an interview with a Mighty Girl. At 12 years old, I was like, wow, people don't have shoes. It kind of put things into perspective for me. For her, I don't know how to pronounce this, Tikkun Olam, an act of repairing the world. Central to the bar mitzvah ceremony, she came up with the idea to launch Shoes for Souls, a charitable outreach program that collects and distributes shoes for Southern Californians in need. Part of the requirement for having a bar mitzvah is that in some way you give a bar or bat mitzvah. I'm assuming a bat mitzvah is for females. Is that in some way you give back to your community, you give back to the world. I decided I wanted to give back as big as I could. Since its inception, Shoes for Souls has rehomed 30,000 plus pairs of gently used shoes collected during school shoe drives. When the pandemic, I know what's going on with that. When all that happened, she took to the internet to solicit donations. The trickle became a steady flow once more. She only accepts shoes in good condition. Good condition? I want to try to give the best experience to all the people. A fresh, new pair of shoes can really brighten someone's day, brighten their attitude and their outlook on life, and help them survive, right? Shoes are such a simple thing, but the repercussions of not having them can impact everything from health to mobility to the possibility of looking for work. That one pair of shoes could change someone's life. How amazing is that? There are good people doing good things in this world. I think that's inspiring. That is amazing. She should absolutely be commended for her energy and enthusiasm and wanting to help people. We all take that for granted. Shoes. It's so important to have shoes to protect your feet and to keep them warm. It seems like such a simple thing, but it can go such a long way. So I'm very grateful to see this story personally. Let's take a look at one more story here to show you something to stimulate your imagination as we create a better world. This funky hobbit-like home is immersed in lush greenery. This is from Inhabitat. All right, give me one moment here. All right. Channeling Mother Nature into built form, Mexican architect Javier Senoslane designed a peanut-shaped bespoke home with nary a straight line in sight. Appropriately named Casa Organica, or Organic House, the home stands out from its suburban surroundings near Mexico City with its curvaceous shape, hobbit-like entryway, and a semi-submerged construction. The home, which was built in 1984 and expanded upon a few years later, is the first organic architecture project by Senoslane, and that is beautiful. Look how awesome that is. The entrance is attached to the living area and marked by a hobbit-like round door framed by a dense fringe of foliage. The interior feels distinctly cavernous with its rounded surfaces. Yet despite the cave-like semi-underground interior, the home is full of light thanks to the insertion of large curved windows that frame a variety of outdoor views. That is amazing. Wow. And that is what it is all about, folks. Organic architecture. This is the kind of thing that we need to take with us to the next world, because this is what is going to help us to create homes that are in alignment with Mother Nature, that are organic in the shapes, that have greenery everywhere. This is beautiful. There are good things going on in the world, folks. All right? There are people creating beautiful things every day. And we need to look at all these good things that we can take out of this abomination of a world and build upon these with a foundation of natural law, altruism, and traditional ecological knowledge. So that's what this is all about. So, if you made it this far, I thank you so much for tuning in. All right, this is a very passionate subject that I take to heart. I make no apologies for being this passionate about this subject. We all need to take care of one another. So I'm going to leave it at that, folks. Doesn't look like anybody is here. Hopefully people will join eventually. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Remember, for any future show at any time, you can go to unitingunbound.com/show, and you could submit your own topic that I can use on a next show, and we'll dissect it through these three perspectives here. Okay? At any point, you can go to streamelements.com/unitingunbound/tip. It's in the description. And you can have your comment or question read at the end of the show, and we could start forming a community here. So, once again, thank you all so much for being here. I look forward to the next show. I look forward to communicating with you and really starting a community here. So, I love you. If you're suffering from depression, you are not alone. You are loved. You are beautiful just the way that you are. You are deserving of help. And I am telling you, it is possible to get better. I was in a depressive state for 8 years. I was in the dark pit of despair for 8 years. And I found the help that I needed. And now I'm so grateful to be feeling the way that I am. And I know that you can get through this, whatever you're going through. Just take it one moment at a time. One day, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second, 1 moment at a time. That is all. Only focus on what you can control. Try not to get overwhelmed by things. I know that you can do this. I love you so much. All right, that is the end of the show, folks. I will see you in the next one. Remember who you are and tune yourself to Mother with your heart. See you later.